Good morning, Algebra 2. We're going to talk about special functions, particularly going to talk about piecewise defined functions. Got my handy dandy graph paper because we're going to draw them. Now, a couple things that are important, and it has to do with, remember, a piecewise defined function is a function written using two or more expressions. So this one just has two. What's important is to note that I have some conditions on x. Okay, the significance of that is, remember, x equals -1 is a vertical line. Now I'm going to draw that in just to kind of show you the significance as I'm drawing this. Okay, so this is kind of one part's going to go, if you think about it too, this inequality less than says, hey, this line is going to go to the left. This inequality says, hey, this one's going to go to the right. Okay, so this line is going to go some way like this. This one's going to go some way like this. Okay, so I kind of know some directionality of my lines. But it's all based around that -1. Now, because this is less than, I also know it's going to be an open circle. Okay, so what do? Well, remember, this is a line, so I'm thinking y equals x minus 2. Now, if x is -1, -1 minus 2 is -3. So I know my starting point is -1, -3. Now, I know it's an open circle because it doesn't have that equal, but I want to start there. -1, -3, open circle. Now, my slope is 1, but I want to go left. Usually I think, remember, rise over run, and that's up 1, right 1, but because I want to go left, I want to think -1 over -1. That still means 1, but I'm going to go down and left. So down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, get a couple of dots, take your handy dandy ruler and draw your line. Okay, now the second one, okay, again, it's still a line. And if I put -1 in for x, it's going to start at -1, 2. Now this is a closed dot because it's got that equal bar. So -1, 2 is a closed dot. Here my slope is 1, so I can use that 1 over 1. Up 1, over 1, up 1. Oh, we should have known that y-intercept was going to be 3. Okay, get a couple of dots. Use your handy dandy ruler, graph your line, and tape it on. Now they also ask you to talk about the domain and range. Okay, the domain, I can still use all values of x. There are no gaps in my x values. So my domain is all real numbers. Now my range, that's my y values, has this big gap in here. Now they like to write it in set builder notation. The range is all f of x such that f of x. Okay, now this is where you've got to remember those points. Okay. -3, it went down. So it's less than -3, or, okay, this one was 2, okay, or f of x is greater than or equal to 2. Now, this is the same as saying, hey, y is less than -3, or y is greater than or equal to 2. I'll accept either one. But when you're checking answers in the back of the book, they write it with that, okay? All right. So, guided practice. Still have 2, still have some conditions. Okay? Notice my boundary is the y-axis. It's up to you whether or not you draw in that vertical line. I just think it helps me see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's kind of, up to you. I know this one is going to go to the left. This one is going to go to the right, and I know that because of my inequalities. This one's going to have an open circle. This one's going to have a closed circle. Okay, so I start with my endpoints. My first equation is y equals x plus 2. Well, it's the y-intercept, and I know that that's 2. It's an open circle, so at 2, I'm going to have that open circle. Okay? Now my slope is 1, so I'm using that same idea. Because I know it's going to go left, I'm going to go down 1 and left 1. Down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, get a few points, and draw your line. Okay? Now my second line, y equals x, well, that's direct variation. That starts at the origin. Okay? Closed circle, so I'm going to have a closed dot at my origin. It also has a slope of 1, but I'm going to the right, so I can use up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Okay, you kind of get the idea. And you draw your graph. Okay? If I think of domain and range, my domain is still all real numbers because this one goes this way and this one goes this way. I don't really have a gap in the middle because they're covered with these. So my range is also all real numbers. And that's example 1. See the next video for example 2.